Vrinder does the mantra, then signals surely. Viraj finds himself entrapped in the fire. He pulls the curtain and jumps over the fire. Vrinder was curt that Viraj had been safe and signals Anbali, who works with the statue, throwing it forcefully over Viraj. Viraj uses all his energies to hold the statue back in place. There, people continued to cut the tree. Viraj stops them. Ranisa and Yamini tells Viraj that Padmini has been possessed by a witch and it will only leave Padmini once the tree has been cut. Viraj says there is no witch in this tree, no evil soul could reside under the tree as it was a pious tree in their belief. This would deteriorate both nature and their beliefs. He hopes everyone has understood his view, and requests them not to cut the tree anymore. In the palace, Viraj hurries to Hariali. She weakly opens her eyes. Viraj says he has stopped the cutting of tree, then goes to get doctor for her injury. Hariali says doctors can't treat her as she is a normal human. Her injury would heal itself. She thanks him for protecting her tree. Viraj hears the knock at the door. He opens the door. It was Samrat. Samrat says he heard someone speaking, and wanted to peek in. Viraj says he and Hariali were having some private discussion. Samrat wished to join but Viraj shuts the door. Shorili and Albeli discuss they must find out where Sitara is. Viraj already saved the tree. Vrinder says they must finish Hariali before Sitara gets fine. If Hariali isn't saved, no one would be able to treat Sitara. Shorili says they must first find out if Hariali could save Sitara or not. Viraj comes to the room. The possessed soul of Padmini attacks them, but was stopped by the forces of Hariali. She tried to attack Hariali but Hariali slapped her, and questions how dare she accused her tree for this possession. Padmini says she won't spare Hariali now and charges over her. Hariali instead winds a rope of wood around her neck. Padmini falls unconscious. A cloud of witches' soul flies in the air. Viraj goes to wake Padmini up. Hariali wasn't ready to accept thank you, and asks him to only remember her condition. Viraj says he remembers her condition and would soon fulfill it. Hariali thinks Viraj was mistaken by the promise and doesn't realize what she is going to demand him. Yamini brings halwa for Samrat. He denies having his favorite dessert. Samrat says Viraj doesn't miss Sitara even for once. Yamini says Hariali is weird and one can expect anything from her. She doesn't care for Viraj and Sitara at all. She asks Samrat why he feels jealous then. Samrat thinks he fears he doesn't have to fight Viraj for Hariali. Hariali and Viraj were in the forest looking for Sanjeevani plant. Hariali plucks the plant off the soil happily. She says this will treat Sitara. On the way, they find Vrinder and her sisters laugh devilishly. Vrinder makes a bunch of tree feel over Hariali. The plant fell off Hariali's hand as Viraj tries to protect her. Vrinder stares at Viraj. Hariali attacks Vrinder, Albeli and Shorili with thorns hitting their bodies. Vrinder opens her hand and produces cloth piece which flies to suffocate Hariali's neck. Hariali screams in pain. Vrinder attacks Hariali. She screams in pain. Viraj manages to throw the cloth away. Now Hariali attacks the Vishkanyas. Vrinder asks her sisters to stand behind her. They get caught in Hariali's branch. Vrinder and Hariali glare at each other. Hariali brings Vishkanyas to Vishloku and leaves them tied there in one of her branches. The door closes from outside. Zorili asks her sister to save them from Hariali. Outside, Hariali covers the door with her mesh. Viraj is standing in a corner. She gets concerned seeing his wounds and heals them automatically. Even her wounds disappear. Viraj looks at her in surprise. She also puts a flower in her crown. He asks her how she remains cool even when there is so much going on around her. She calls it her personal secret. I will tell you if you stay with me. He calls her antique. She puts her arms around him. You can tell me if you are trying to find excuses to keep me closer to you. He moves her hands away and jokes that she is hopeless. Hariali thinks her actions bring smile on his face, but what you will do when I tell you my second condition? The time to tell you my second condition is coming closer. Hariali is healing Sitara. Her head and hand movement brings a smile on Viraj's face. You are perfectly fine now. Sitara smiles at him. They share a hug. Harrioli looks on unhappily. She will fall ill again if you will love her so much. Viraj says I won't let anything happen to her now. Let's go? Harrioli reasons that she is weak. She will take time to stand on her feet. She needs to regain strength. You cannot take her out in front of anyone. He kisses Sitara on her forehead and then helps her lie down. Harrioli tells Viraj to enjoy her company for now. Viraj and Sitara smile. Harrioli asks Viraj to come. Let Sitara rest. He wants to spend time with Sitara but she does not let him stay. She holds Viraj's hand and sends him outside. Harrioli looks at Sitara pointedly. Albeli fails in opening the mystery door. Zorili wonders who Harrioli is and where she has come from. What's her connection with Viraj and Sitara? Why is she after our life? She has become Viraj's shield just like Sitara? Vrinder nods. She protects Viraj just like Sitara. I saw the same love in her eyes that I have seen in Sitara's eyes. When we were trying to stop them in the jungle, Harrioli was saving Viraj time and again. She kept staring at him without blinking her eyes. Zorili says why she is protecting Sitara then. Albeli calls her saint. Didi is right. Viraj and Harrioli share something. Zorili reasons that if it is true then Viraj will go to Sitara once she is fine. Harrioli's love will be incomplete. Why will Harrioli doing this to herself then? Albeli seconds her. Vrinder is in thoughts. This is what we have to find out, and to know that, we should know more about Harrioli's background. Viraj is happily humming to himself as he sits next to Harrioli. He finds her lost and asks her why she is sitting like a statue. She says I was thinking you will forget me the moment Sitara will recover. Viraj says you are not someone who can be forgotten. I will remember you for life. You have done a favor on me for lifetime. You have given us a new birth by reviving Sitara. I told you, you are no less than God for me. He looks at his wedding photo. Sitara completes me. I won't be there if she won't be there. Harrioli asks him if he will forget his deal because of his love. He denies. You can even ask for my life. I won't say no. She tells him that what she wants is no less than his life. He asks her what she wants. She asks him to throw Sitara out of his life for forever. Remove her name from your life and heart. Sitara is getting ready. Where is Viraj? Why hasn't he come till now? She decides to check on him herself and goes out of that room. Downstairs, Vrinder experiences that Sitara has recovered. She has just passed from the corridor above us. Her sisters suggest killing her before she reaches Viraj. Vrinder denies. If what I am thinking turns out to be true, then we don't need to do anything. She is holding a snake in her hand which will collect proofs for them. The snake follows Sitara at a distance. Viraj asks Harrioli what she is saying. You know how much I love Sitara. I cannot live without her. What will you gain by separating us? She tells him it does not matter to him. You promised me you will fulfill my both conditions. I want your relation with Sitara to end. He demands to know the reason. Will you misuse the promise like this? Please don't do this. I beg you. I will do whatever you will ask me to. Just don't separate me from Sitara. She tells him that he cannot back out on his words. Don't forget that I can kill Sitara too if I can save her. He is taken aback. How dare you? What did you say? She repeats her words. I will kill Sitara if you don't fulfill my condition. Sitara notices a kid playing downstairs. The snake inches closer to the kid from behind. She uses her powers to attack the snake but in vain. She wonders why her powers aren't working. She ends up picking the snake which bites her. Her arm turns blue immediately because of the poison. She winces in pain. How can a snake bite affect me? Why is it paining so much? She passes out on the floor. Recap: Viraj calls Harrioli worse than enemies. You are against my love. She tells him that Sitara is cheating him instead. She is a Vish Kanya. You knew nothing about it till date. Viraj gets thinking. Later, Sitara comes closer to Viraj for a kiss but he moves her aside saying,